This is a
Good time, Charlie?
production.
Hello, it's Crème Patissier party of 3. We want a seat at the bar today. This is the Big Brunch, episode 7, Holiday Brunch, our penultimate episode, the semifinals in this world. We happen upon our crew making breakfast, and it is Danielle's second week in this color blue. Last week she had on a long sleeve shirt, this same color with flowers on it, and this week it was short sleeve and solid. So all 3 of the judges join us in the kitchen to announce that only 3 of the 5 are going to the finale, which immediately my heart sank.
I knew they was going to do it. They was going to have to do a double elimination because if you kept somebody last week that you shouldn't have, you had to do a double. You had to do a double elimination this week.
Roman, he fucked the game up. He performed very, very well, and it made them have to switch it up.
Yeah.
You have actually some news about the vegan tamal competition.
Oh shit! I forgot all about that.
I did not forget.
I'm not gonna count it as bakers make the world go round, but
Sure.
I looked it up, y'all, and it turns out there really was a damn man. Let me get in these text messages because that's
it was in our text chain from 2018.
Yeah. So that vegan tamale contest that man mentioned might have been a legitimate thing.
Look at that.
So I just had to laugh because we was clowning on it.
That's why I wanted to do the retraction. We can't be lying on our mans over there.
It was put on by Kiss FM 93.1 down there in El Paso. Get ready, vegans, because El Paso's best vegan tamal competition is happening on Sunday, December 9th at Hope and Anchor. Tamales. I know he says tamal, so I don't want to be disrespectful.
He says a lot of things I wouldn't say.
Are a holiday staple in El Paso, and while vegan options are growing in El Paso with delicious eateries such as Lick It Up, Eloise, and Sabretooth Food Co., vegan tamales are not that easy to come by. It's not like the ladies that whisper to you over at the random grocery store parking lot are peddling vegan tamales. Anyway, it goes from there. Next year, I will try to remind myself to put that in your show notes. That article is from November 27, 2018. So my man might have actually won said competition. Might have.
We know that there was a competition that did occur. And while we're here, I know we have some feedback again from our wonderful listeners.
Word up. It's our homeboy Frank hit us on the text again. Thank you, Frank. Hello again. Frank here again. Thank you for the acknowledgement and thank you for another good episode. This challenge, I know, pushed a lot of buttons amongst viewers. Anyway, more background. They stated that the kitchen was extremely well stocked and what wasn't available, they could request. Production had elves who could run out to a mysterious nearby supermarket to get any additional ingredients. Daniel's burrito required a certain type of yam that he had to wait on for it to complete his dish.
Oh, wow.
Danielle had a nightmare trying to complete hers. Halfway through, she started to panic and asked them to her other what? Ask them to I can only write. I'm gonna read what's written and we'll make it make sense. Ask them to her other ingredients in case she had to pivot. Oh, maybe she just was prepared to switch over. I would disagree because she served them banana bread. Just want to point that out once again, okay? Also, judging usually took about 20 minutes per person, so a lot of stuff was cut. That is not unusual. Decades ago, the judging of a Project Runway contestant took well over an hour.
in like the Bachelorette, when they do their like deliberations and cocktail parties, that shit will go to the into the next day. You often see them like it's light out when they finish that.
Jesus
And,
Christ.
not project, Top Chef, they deliberate for hours sometimes.
Let's see. Also, I think I might have some insight to Jay. Mostly theory, mind you. Jay used to be a jock in school playing a lot of team sports. I think that's the root of a lot of her corny manner. Also, like Jay, I am also Chinese and queer, and my parents were good chefs of Cantonese cuisine. Cooking seems to be her main way to stay connected to her roots, but I also think it serves as a reminder of prejudice and family drama she has endured. Her emotional outbursts might be an indication that she has not completely come to terms with the pain she has experienced.
You
One
think?
final, one final seed, one final seed to plant. I think the final episode will give a lot to discuss. I'm not going into detail, but the structure of the final episode is noticeably different, and a few people expressed their displeasure. Oh, now it was now it was likely the contestants knew ahead of time, but but it is vague. I think it will be worth exploring this change up and how much of it reflects the point of the show. Good on you, Frank. Man, good to hear from you again. Thank you for just what you contribute to the show. This background like that is very helpful, and it's just stuff we have not had a chance to dig up because this is a hobby, not a job. So we don't get out there to get to a lot of the background information. I'd like to thank you for sharing it with me. This episode in particular, I think it was made very clear that Jay is not doing well with being no contact with the family.
I have thoughts about that. Thank you, Frank, for your insight, and thank you so much for sharing that little piece about you. I think it's commendable that you can see kind of yourself in her story and have that sort of insight. I don't think that
Representation, people.
yeah,
Representation.
I don't think that I'm confused about where it comes from. I just don't know that I still feel when we get to it, I have a opinion that may be controversial, but I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say because I felt it really deeply. Also, usually when I'm reviewing a show, I don't listen to other people review the show until I'm done because I want to like have my own opinion and then go back and listen later. And sometimes I'll do it in the middle, like while I'm doing it, but I've found that I still get a little bit influenced by other people, and I don't want to do that. But thank you so much
Yeah.
for that info.
I have a Bake Off podcast I've listened to for years now, but once we started making the Bake Off podcast, I was
Right.
like, y'all have to wait every week until I've done my own show before I can
Yep.
listen to y'all because I don't want nothing y'all saying influence what I'm saying or thinking or anything. So
Because then the show becomes like, okay, so on the such and such podcast, they had said, and like,
yeah.
So this is a holiday themed brunch. They are to prepare a savory past appetizer fit for a holiday party. The joke was, I know you guys are tired of cooking for just us, as a hint to the actual nature of the challenge. So they've got to make 24 identical hot or cold. Like it's a party, so it has to be easy to pick up and eat. And they've got an hour 45 on the clock. So we go to get drinks. Sola decided to switch things up this week and ordered a whiskey without ice for
Whiskey neat.
yeah, to switch it up a bit. I also feel like this is kind of like including the bartender in the challenge because they just give her like a roadmap and then she comes back with something like creative and you know a good bartender would love to have their way with your order. So I think this is a fun little challenge for her as well.
I was concerned that I was like, if somebody walked to me and said, just make something like this, I'd be like, you got to give me more instruction, bruv.
Right.
But you tell me a bartender maybe of her caliber is like, oh yeah, throw something at me that can challenge my thought process. I think that's dope.
There's
I did not
some editing too.
Yeah,
I'm sure they pick somebody who one is very knowledgeable. Two, something that they could bring on camera who had a personality that was ready to roll with the punches. And I would like to think that we talked her up and made her come back because it was a couple episodes she was missing.
Yep. So Sola with like a side of caviar, which is so random. But I guess because they're in the fancy holiday brunch mode.
Yeah. Well, just like when she wanted pizza, she ain't get it.
Well, she got something that they tried to say was a pizza, but it worked.
I think I'm gonna stick with what I said.
Yeah, true. Fact. And Dan revealed that he doesn't get invited to holiday parties a bunch. And I wonder if it's because he's like Jewish and also Canadian. So people are like, you don't want to come to my Christmas party. But like, let people say no.
Yeah, for sure. Give me the option to decline, sir.
Right. So Dan does the walk around by himself. He warned Roman about presentation, which was interesting because they don't normally knock him for presentation. They compliment him and call his stuff like rustic.
Well, somehow rustic went to an offensive comment this week, but okay.
Yeah.
How interesting.
So Jay is making chimichurri, which feels like her chili oil again.
Yeah, it's a similar kind of situation, but hey, you know what, man? You know what you do, and you know what you do well. We would not be saying. I mean, would we?
Yes.
I guess I would be talking reckless about Danielle. She kept making scones, so you're right.
As Tyra Banks would say, don't rest on pretty.
I mean, but it's how I got here, Tyra. What am I supposed to do with that?
Switch it up. You're America's Next Top Model, not America's Next Top Pretty Girl. So Daniel has won Best in Brunch 3 times, which is like, wow. Wow. I'm sure he's a great kid. I just am always like, I don't want to eat that.
Except for that chicken burrito thing he made. That looks scrumptious.
It did look good. Danielle is bringing the biscuits back.
Yeah.
More jackfruit from Roman, but he commented at least it's not mushrooms, which as a source of a meat replacement, there are so many different kinds of mushrooms. It's not like he's been mushroom portobello, every week. He has switched it up. But one person gets knocked for doing the same thing over and over. Another person gets encouraged to do the same thing over and over. And a third person does the same thing over and over. Interesting how that works. All right. So One Grub Community is Roman's community-based diner based in a local church with 53 garden beds, providing good food for people in a food desert. And the church has been on the market. And so if the church sells, he could lose his space. I would say, yes, that is a major concern. But a good realtor developer would be like, this is a wonderful opportunity for a new buyer to incorporate something that could be a tax write-off and incorporate that into the sale. But I don't know anything about El Paso real estate.
Yeah.
So Dan comes to announce that there will be special guests, and they are the eliminated contestants. I had some observations.
As did I, but I was also going to say, when they said special guest, was you already like, oh, I know what this is going to be, or were you genuinely surprised?
I think I was surprised.
Yeah, same. I thought it was either going to be. I thought potentially was going to be their families.
Oh yeah, because of holiday stuff. But I know that they were probably in like a sequestered situation. So
yeah,
a COVID bubble maybe, depending on when this was filmed. So why did they have them off to the side? It was a whole diner full of tables where they could have been.
I think it's just their camera setup. I think it's just where they were how they shoot from.
And I know because it was past.
Yeah. So I know you.
It don't seem like they was mingling with the old people neither, though.
No,
they didn't even say. I know it could have been edited.
Right.
They didn't even say. They didn't say hi to them. They say, "Hey, y'all doing all right?"
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did y'all get some drinks?
Right here in my notes, I wrote Kelly still look uncomfortable as hell on camera.
As hell.
I was just like, you just look confused and what to do, and I'm like, everybody else seems to have a vibe and are chatting up. You really was gone that one episode, and that was it. And so,
Yeah.
but she did seem wild excited to see Jay. They gave an enthusiastic hug.
And Roman.
Yeah, so I can't call it, man. So, but otherwise, as I watched them shots, I was like, "Ooh, baby, you just felt like it looked like she got pinched out and just left to the side." So I had to go look her name up as well because I sure forgot who she was.
Oh, I wouldn't have known until you said it.
The Rebs of the Big Brunch.
Yes, Reba. Katie has hair. We saw their hair for the first time, and also Mason looked really sad.
Yeah,
he looked so sad. So Daniel made kimbap, which is a Korean seaweed roll with bulgogi, dashi egg again, spinach, carrot, pickled daikon again, pickled daikon radish.
So pickled daikon really does seem to show up in Korean food often.
A lot, yeah.
So I guess I got to give it up to him on that. Basically Korean sushi, y'all. If y'all was wondering what it looked like, if y'all just are out here listening to us and not watching the show, imagine your standard sushi roll. You know, what is that? What is the seaweed called?
It's not nigiri. Nigiri?
I think it might be nigiri. And if we wrong, hey man, you know what it is.
Oh, the actual seaweed?
Yeah, the green, the
oh
seaweed,
God, it's
the wrap.
like right on the tip of my head. Oh, how annoying. Sorry, Frank. Jay made Sichuan. Oh, there was no judging after this round. Everybody just ate. And the former contestants kind of were like, oh, this is real good. Did you do this? Did you do that? But the judges did not speak after eating. They spoke later. So Jay made Sichuan cumin lamb skewers with pickles and basil, ginger, garlic oil. And she was like, I had to write myself this note. Do people not know what gung hei fat choi means? Am I just from the Bay?
You are from the Bay Area, surrounded by Asian people. I don't know what that means, Nick Jew. Could you tell us what that means?
Really? It means Happy New Year.
Oh,
right on. No, I didn't know that. Hell no.
Okay. We learned that in like school.
Now, hold on. Now, were you taught Lunar New Year or were you taught Chinese New Year?
Both.
Huh. So, like I said, only in recent years, and let's say the last 5, kind of solidly cross it over to say Lunar New Year as opposed to Chinese New Year, because like all of Asia pretty much celebrates it.
Right, because I grew up around Asians that were not necessarily just Chinese, so I did know it as both.
Nori was the word we wanted.
Yes, thank you, nori. Oh my God. Danielle made a biscuit with eggplant caponata, homemade pesto, ricotta salata, which is just cheese.
Hey,
Antoine, it did look good. I don't know that I like eggplant that much, but I definitely would have tasted it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of aubergines at all. Don't like it.
I like I don't do it a lot because it's very time consuming, but I love making eggplant parm. I'm sure if that was probably a luscious little bite. Wasn't much to it. Man, that biscuit looked all right. I've never been to go back to Jay's. I've never had lamb before, so I really can't speak on.
Oh, really? I love lamb.
Only if I had lamb, it came in gyros back in the day when I was still eating red meat.
Yeah,
and that shit is just like soup. It's a mix of other meats in that shit too. So
yeah,
can't call it.
Antoine made cornmeal crusted okra on curry rice cake, harissa, and smoked paprika aioli. Katie has never had okra before. I love okra. I know some people detest it because it can be slimy, but depending on the preparation, that slime kind of goes away. But I do enjoy me some okra.
Only had it as a child. I had it as a child. It was slimy. It was around the same time I saw the movie Green Slime. It was bad news for okra. Me and okra never rise since.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, and that's where gumbo get its name from. Like if you don't have okra in your gumbo, it ain't gumbo.
So it's controversial. It's controversial because some people will put an adjective in front of gumbo to let you know that there's not okra in it. Like seafood gumbo usually means there's probably not okra in it. Chicken sausage gumbo means there's probably not okra in it. And then some people, and like I know gumbo is people have so many different opinions about it, but depending on where you're from, some people use their okra like as their roux, and then other people will do a roux and an okra. It's just like there's all sorts of magic cooking tricks that people come up with to get a nice seasoned rich brown stock that it's like it's incredible. The variety of
Respect it.
that soup. So Antoine had to give his homegirl Nadege props on her new glasses. You could tell that they bonded up real smooth because he was so happy to see her.
It was funny. My partner, when that part came on, she was like, look at him flirting." I'm like, he probably wasn't flirting. She was the only other
It
black
felt
person on the cast.
it felt flirtatious until I saw his wife. I didn't realize he
Oh,
was married.
yeah.
With children. I didn't see his wife. I just must have turned my head enough. I saw his children, did not see his wife.
Yeah, they showed a picture of their wedding.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Was it
remember
nice?
them mentioning.
It was a long time ago. They looked much younger. He had hair.
Yeah, he went through some hair phases. I'll tell you that.
Hmm. She's a white woman, but he also has like an older child that looks like maybe from another relationship because the older child did not look biracial.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, oh, did he have a little crush on the Dej? And I was like, oh, he's fully married. I mean, that doesn't mean he
That
don't.
don't mean anything. Yes, quite.
Yeah. So Roman made salpicon, which is traditional, his favorite word, shredded beef salad. Did you know that Roman was a vegan, guys?
I'd heard, but I
Yeah.
wasn't certain of it. I'm glad to know they established that that's a real thing.
And then he said he made a traditional sope that he changed. So it's actually not traditional. Yeah. And then he said the thing that made me just put my pencil down for a hot second,
Oh man.
because Will was like, I've never until this moment like associated you with meat like at all, because he said this was a thing that he used to make for his family when he was a meat eater, and everybody like demands that he makes it, so he's switched it up and made it with jackfruit. And he said, I've got a past and it's filled with meat. Moving right along. Dan kicked everyone out so they could do the judging because they ate it without comment before. So Daniel, Will said the kimbap was beautiful, but it was muted. And Sola agreed. Muted. Jay, Dan said it was so delicious, melt in your mouth. Sola wanted more of the pickles. Pickles.
Yeah.
And then Gailon, which I did know as Chinese broccoli, but that's not a thing that I feel like everybody knows. Gailon.
What? So every so often, things like that, somebody will throw a country in front of it and say that is Italian broccoli or whatever. I'm like, what is it, broccoli or is it not broccoli?
Right.
What's going on there?
It kind of looks more like a green.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
so
God.
I used to work with several Asian people of all different ethnic nationalities, and the most amazing experience is to go to a Chinese restaurant with actual Asian people and have them like order things that are not on the menu, because generally what we get here is like American fast food versions of Chinese food, but they will order stuff like the gailan that is typically not like on the menu, and especially dim sum. It's such a fun experience. Danielle Will said it was so good, so well done, Sola. So glad you went for it. It was an incredible biscuit. Like they want her to make a biscuit or a scone every week. Every week. Antoine Will said that there was no crisp, which I'm sure would be so disappointing if you pick up a little thing that's supposed to have like a crispy crunch to it and it doesn't. And Sola said the breading was too thick. She loved the idea though. And Dan said that there was a texture issue, which is so unfortunate.
So I'm wondering, since he didn't go first and having to make 24 of them, I don't know how the fuck really y'all really gonna eat 24. 12 would have been should have been plenty.
I think
But
that they feed other people because if you notice in some of the shots, like Danielle made 2 loaves of her banana bread.
yeah,
So they probably feed the crew.
so one of them must have been really, really sunken in.
Yeah. The one that they showed when she was prepping it.
Yeah.
But I also like that's the advantage of winning best in brunch is you get to go first, but I don't know how they determine the rest of the order. Roman. Sola said the sope or tart was hard to eat, and she called his garnishes cute, which the other judges were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Sola, did you just call something cute? And Homegirl said, I'm changing. And Dan said the base came through, but he wonders if they should have been smaller.
Mm.
And Will was just very happy to be there. He said it was a pleasure to be a part of this. I love Will. Will is very much my vibe. Like I'm just very happy to be here.
I'm just happy to play.
Word. So the main, we are celebrating family style holiday brunch spread with a main and 2 sides. So basically what Roman did last week. They're looking for abundance, a mic drop moment, spectacle, basically what Danielle did last week. So they'll have 2 hours to prepare. And so Will asked for an egg white based drink, and Sola wants whatever he's having instead of whiskey. And then they come up with a bet that she'll probably send him back and just end up getting the whiskey, which happened. And she
So
was like, I liked it, but
soon as and this is just to let you know that I love me some Sola. Soon as old girl was like, oh, it's a Clementine, I was like, that's her dog's name. And then Sola's like, that's my dog's name. And I was like, okay,
oh,
so we all on the same page here.
how
Sorry.
sweet. I used to have there's a like local restaurant bar that we would go to, and the bartender, once he got to know me, he would be like, I'm gonna just make you something. He knew I drank gin, and he kept a little notebook of the stuff that he's done for me in the past, and he would be very overzealous with the aquafaba, but
Mm.
I ended up liking almost everything he made me with it. Like it wasn't something I could drink all night, but for my first drink to just let him have at it, it was always a little fun.
That's
Hey,
nice.
what is your gin of choice?
It depends. I if I'm buying, I'm probably gonna go Tanqueray or a local. If I want to try something local, if somebody else is buying, that's not like a friend of mine, Hendrix.
I have some Hendrix in the fridge right now. That is the gin that's currently on tap at the crib. So
When I
thank you.
was
I feel better
drinking,
about myself.
when I was drinking a lot, I would have just some straight up Amsterdam because it was cheap.
Mm.
Fair.
What do you
Always looking for a gin reco.
What do you think about is Bombay Sapphire a good one?
I will also do Bombay if they don't have Tanqueray, which some, like not as much anymore, but a lot of bars would kind of like turn their nose up at Tanqueray. But it's
Hmm.
kind of on that level of Hennessy now where it's become in vogue again to drink gin. So they usually will have all the gins. But there was a smooth 5, 6 years when I would try to order Tanqueray and they'd be like, we don't have that.
Haters.
Right. It's racial. It's racial. It's anti-black. All right. So Jay, here we go. Here we go. Jay is connected to her culture through food, but never cooked with her family. She's ostracized from her family after coming out, which I think is so fucking awful. And I hate that anybody ever has to experience such a thing. It's like because of your culture or your religion, like how do you, and I say this to you as a Christian, how do you align yourself with a God who would make you turn your back on your child for something as minuscule to their humanity as who they choose to love?
Yeah. Yeah, it was the first time in these shows I was like, God damn, Jay, they played
Yeah.
you like that. And I felt so terrible for her.
But
She's
then
still
she
corny.
said, and I threw my notebook, Cantonese food is all I have to remind me that I'm Chinese. And I had a huge problem with that. It is a different thing to say, I cook, therefore I am like reconnecting with my culture. But the only thing that lets you remember that you are Chinese is Cantonese food.
I felt like her saying that was saying basically just like, I can't be with my people, so the food is how I stay with my people. And I get it. Her wording was kind of fucked up.
As a Black person, I was incensed.
Yeah.
I can't never not be Black.
And I think given the ability to kind of think on that, she was like, wait a minute, I just look in the mirror and I'm Chinese. Like, yes, you are.
Hello. And not only that, it's not about your self-perception. It's about how the world perceives you. And as a queer person, an out queer person, you should know a little bit about outward perception as it relates to your identity. And then they showed her at a big group with like one other random Asian chick and a bunch of other people. And she has a white partner and she doesn't live, in her community any longer. So for me, it felt like tokenism on blast. It's like there's so much. I mean, like food as it relates to culture is such a rich experience and it's so wonderful. But like, I don't know, it ignited something in me.
I hear you.
But I have a great deal of compassion for her because it's fucked up. But also, so your parents have ostracized you, the whole family. There's not a cousin you bang with, like. And then like her family never taught her how to make this food. So where did she learn it? From other Chinese people, from the internet, from school?
Facts.
It just makes me very sad that it's like the thing that is connecting her to her whole culture, she didn't even learn at home with her people because they kicked her out. It's so sad. I really wish that people would open their eyes and see what their bigotry does to their children, because now you have to walk through life thinking the only thing that makes you Chinese is the food you eat.
Yeah.
And not your blood or your culture or your ancestors or, your history. Anyway, that's my rant, and I'm sorry if I've offended anybody, but as a Black person, I was like, oh, no, 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 no. Had y'all ever heard of soy curls before?
No.
No.
And I've heard of a lot of the various meat, stand-ins.
Yeah, I hadn't either.
Unhip to soy curls.
It looked interesting how it was like rehydrated and it kind of had a meaty texture.
Yeah,
So
it looked interesting.
It did. I don't know if I would want to eat it, but it did. I was fascinated by the science of it. So the judges were talking about holiday memories because they've, it's not in the quote unquote woke way. They said this is a holiday brunch. They wanted to be inclusive of everyone's holiday. So we've got like Lunar New Year, Feast of the Seven Fishes, and then Sola talks about Eid. And I grew up around a lot of Muslims. Some of my earlier work experiences were with Muslims. And so like during Ramadan, I would try to be respectful and not like heat up my food around people, but it's not something they would ever ask you to do. Mm-hmm. But I have so much respect for people who have that kind of faith, because you cannot put anything in your mouth from sun up to sundown. And Ramadan moves around the calendar every year. So sometimes that's 9 p.m.
Yes. Yeah. Well, especially summertime Ramadan is not terrible because it is a celebration of their faith. But man, can you imagine not being able to get down till the sun gets down?
Listen, but then
you want to win a Ramadan is all I'm saying.
Right. But then you have your whole family sitting down to a huge feast at 9 o'clock every night.
Yeah.
Which is probably super dope.
What's that called? Iftar. What's that meal called?
I want to say that you're correct, but I do not know. Eid is the actual celebration of the breaking of the fast.
I want to give it up to myself for knowing that. That's the iftar, which is served after sunset. Check me out.
It sounded correct.
Give it up to my weebles who taught me that shit.
So Dan and Sola did the walk around. Antoine talked about growing up without a father and how that impacts the way he's raising his sons, which was such a special moment. You got to do better or right or different sometimes. Pipian, Roman is making whatever Pipian is, and Sola said it's one of her favorites. So she's excited about that, and he's bringing back some mushrooms, just to be warned, everybody. Uh, okay, so Danielle is celebrating the Feast of the Seven Fishes, but with only two fishes. She's
Real
making
Jesus type behavior.
right. She gonna make it. She gonna make it feed the 5,000 or however many people it was with the catfish and the bread. She is making the often fatal mistake of making something for the first time in her life in the kitchen, which is a toaster pastry. And here they go tasting shit again.
And she offered it to them. They did not request. She's like, "Oh, do you want to taste this? Here, hit these. Get that fig in your mouth." Also, she said. Also, as I recall, she says, tasting it is a part of their holiday celebration. They would taste their grandma milk, so it's not as out of the norm as it has been in the past.
I mean, hand it to Roman, not the judges. So Daniel busted his shit last week, and then he burned himself this week.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Poured a whole ass pot of water or whatever, stock or whatever on his arm. I'm like, bruh, really?
Baby, calm down.
But you know what? That's where that self-taught shit really show his face.
Yeah.
Because training would have been like, don't do that.
Like, why are you running in the kitchen, baby? So Daniel's up first. He, inspired by Korean royal court cuisine, he made gabi jjim. Ooh, sorry. With a kabocha squash puree with mozzarella cheese, gyoza with pureed shiitake mushrooms with veggies and a miso emulsion, and Korean style pancake with kimchi, green onions, and bacon. Only thing I don't like is squash, but I would have smashed.
It's because it's sweet the way squash is.
It's the texture.
I don't like the sweetness of it. It's a weird vegetable situation going on there.
That's fair.
Yeah. Squash is one of those things where it got to be damn near raw. Like I don't like when you go out to the Olive Garden and they make you some voodles and like the squash is just like
mushy.
Very, very mushy. Like I like mine to be kissed. I don't need
so it to be a little sear and a toss.
Yeah.
Dan said it was delicious. Will said it was super delicious. Sola said everything is delicious but missing brightness, but it was all fucking delicious. Antoine made smoked salmon with fennel Greek spice, truffled asparagus, and lobster mashed potatoes. I'm smashing. Smashing. So Will said it was outstanding. Salmon felt like it was from a different camp, though. Like he was maybe eating at two different restaurants. Dan said the asparagus topping didn't melt down, unfortunately. Roman made green pipian, king oyster mushroom sauce, and soy curls, roasted romanesco and cheddar cauliflower, pilaf-style farro with green dives, did I write that correct? And epazote, fresh tortillas, and roasted sweet potato with condensed coconut cream and pistachios. Sola said she liked the pipian sauce. She didn't need the farro. The tortillas were too thick again. What were you about to say, T?
Oh, I was actually about to take a step back and say, my man Will saying, "Oh, this is like it's two different restaurants," but buddy, you just told us to make this shit family style. It wouldn't be a restaurant. You got at my house, you would have some some fish, and then some other shit served 60. I make the things I make for Thanksgiving is none of them. I mean, I guess they kind of go together now, but I mean, some of it is just what I do because
smorgasbord.
Yeah. So it's like, buddy, that's what you want. That's what you requested.
And like, what universe does salmon and asparagus not go together in?
Yeah, man, there's a couple things. That's just one of them ones today that had me like, you so-and-sos.
Sola liked the pipian sauce, but it didn't need the farro. Tortillas too thick. Will said the sweet potatoes were a revelation. Dan said the It was a lovely fudgy experience in a bowl. So, decent feedback. Danielle made poached lobster and shrimp with sauce Americaine, mascarpone, creamy polenta escarole, and a toaster pastry with fig filling. Um, Will, delicious. So it was delicious. Sola said the shrimp and lobster were overcooked, but the sauce was good. And Dan said my shrimp and lobster were good. Um,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he piped. He piped up.
I don't know about what the hell
I
you
don't know
had
about
going
what y'all was
on.
popping, but it was good over this way. Thank you.
And then Jay made lobster with fermented black bean sauce, steamed whole fish, gailan, wood ear mushrooms, lobak go, which is a turnip cake. And Dan said that she delivered a feast, and it was incredible. Will said he loved the lobster dish and just enjoyed the fish. And Sola said it was really well done, but she wished the black bean was punched up more.
Solo just want them flavors to come through this week, and like for whatever reason, Jay just was one hit away to with both their dish his dish her dishes. Forgive me, and it was just a wild one. It was like
I will say that I would have liked to have seen her and Daniel both do like a non Asian dish at least
mm,
once in the competition.
mm,
Because they've stretched Danielle as the baker to like cook a bunch. So like maybe dip outside of your cuisine because it's a brunch show, right? Like any one of those challenges could have lended itself to like I want like your best fucking croque madame or some shit like that,
yeah,
just to
yeah.
show like straight up cooking technique. But also there is something to be said for staying in your lane and just killing it in your lane, which for the most part both of them did for the entire run. I did not write down who won because I was so upset by my man Antoine going home. Antoine and Roman went home.
Yeah, best in brunch was of course Jay, and
Okay,
then they just basically was like, okay, and these two was going on to the finals along with Jay, and that is of course Andrew
gotcha.
and Danielle, and so basically your losers this week were Antoine and Roman, and uh, again I'm just like really okay, buddy.
Wait, Aunt, you were about to say something.
Um, I was what I was about to say was before. What probably would have been nice is maybe if they were forced to do some some free prefab stuff. Like a lot of times you go to a restaurant, hey, these are stuff that's already made. What can you do with this? Almost on some top level
Yeah,
stuff.
like a kind of like an unconventional materials challenge, but it's like here's something that's already made, remix it and do your thing to it.
It
Yes.
that's where it needed a little extra sprinkle of bake off in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's too much. It's too much. You do what you do, as opposed to I want you to do this, and
right.
a,
Yeah.
and a little more. I want you to do this. To really help them stretch. Probably could have made for a more interesting competition. We'll see.
And
Who
I
knows?
guess
Like I said, we'll see what next week brings.
right, and I guess it's maybe just not that show, but it would have been really nice to have like the first challenge just be like bacon and eggs. Let's go.
Yes.
Show me
Yeah,
what you
or
got.
make me eggs Benedict. Go
Hmm.
ahead. Let me see. Let me see what you
Hmm.
can pull off because that requires you to be able to make a mother sauce. It requires you to be able to poach an egg exactly, and which is a challenge to many of people. So it's like, yeah, stuff like that. Real specific challenges could have been something they added to it.
Because
But I mean, I guess like we said, this that ain't the show. So
because like on Bake Off, they will have that one challenge where everybody has to make the same thing. So even if you are a vegan chef, you have to use eggs.
yeah,
Yes.
But I think because this show is more focused on them, the contestant as a brand, I guess it does make sense to just do their thing.
yeah, true indeed.
I haven't watched the finale yet. I'll probably watch it at some point this weekend. I feel like if I had a prediction, it's probably going to be Daniel. Are y'all throwing predict to you? You can't play. And what? Who do you think won?
I can't say it either. I know.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Then I'll text y'all when I watch it and be like, either I knew it or damn. But as soon as they said that only three would be moving on, you pretty much, based off of the judging this season, you kind of have to go with Danielle, Jay, and Daniel. Between Daniel and Jay, they've won the majority of the challenges, and
Yeah.
Danielle has really kind of knocked it out of the park. The times that she did do very well, she had 1 week where she just fucked it up entirely in front of the world renowned pastry chef. But I feel like I could have made a case for my man Antoine had they judged everybody the same.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, goodness gracious. It's very upsetting. I'll tell you that right now. Just
Well.
because I wanted my man to be in the final. And I'm rooting for everybody black. That just is what it is. And
Always.
so
But I
it
was
was
pumped when Jay was like, it's, two Asians, a queer person, a woman. Like,
yeah,
it's the epitome of representation.
for sure. That is kind of dope. And so my man Frank proves the thing. Like I said, representation matters. He got somebody
Absolutely.
that he can cheer. That he could have probably did cheer for in the finals. And that's pretty fucking dope.
And I do be rooting for everybody black, but I also love any like woman or queer person or POC. Uh, Not that I hate white people. I liked Mason a whole bunch, and then he just went out sad, kind of. I fucked with Mason. I fucked with Katie too.
Watching Bake Off, I always like usually the youngest person, like the person
Hmm.
who might be young but they got their skills up to par, or like sometimes I like the oldest person. They always seem to like always have solid bake. So like it's, I mean it, you know, representation matters on every level, but like having a favorite doesn't matter what
For
color
sure.
or creed they are.
It's
Yeah.
also, I think, a thing because I'm like a triple minority or whatever. It's easy for me to root for any minority. And I think that
Yeah.
sometimes people have a hard time rooting for people unless they look just like them, which is part of the problem in our entire world. Everybody can have something to be inspirational and offer to you. And I think that Jay's story is going to resonate with people. Daniel's story is resonating with people who were disappointments to their family because they took a non-traditional career path. And Danielle, being a woman who's made a huge name for herself, is going to resonate with people. So hopefully people
Facts.
have enjoyed the show as much as I have.
With this goofy tail Discovery merger, I'm hoping we get some more of it.
Be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
be nice. Well, we're gonna throw it over to my man Tayrell to take us out with the business stuff.
You know what it is. Nick Jew is Nick Jew on Twitter, Nick the Jew on Instagram. If you are so inclined, Good Day Saints is the Twitter feed for What's the Tea, the podcast that she hosts each and every week. Well, most weeks, whatever.
Yeah,
But Tatum two one
almost
six.
almost every
Yeah, yeah.
week.
Enough that don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? It's there. That is Tatum 216 across the internet if you are so inclined. If he on private, then you ain't down. Depending on the week, he might have locked some shit up. So that's what it is. Uh,
Forgot about that.
if you want to email us, podcast at stagecrunchyandmilk.com. If you want to give us a call and or text, because like I said, it works. 216-264-6311. That's 216-264-6311. We would certainly love to hear from you. I am all over the place. It's Taylor 713. It's probably a security hazard. I probably should do something about it. But that's just who I am and have been for a very long time. So if you want to follow me, go for it. And I don't care where you follow me at. That's the name. So there you go. Take us home.
Well, checks, please. Bye.
Bye.
What happened to your ass? It used to be beautiful.